George Gordon Byron, born in 1788. He died in 1824. But why did Byron go down this road? Remember, the aristocracy there was no such thing as an occupation. What they did is they were there to do and be. They were not there they were there to service their community. And so they did so. But George Gordon Byron, he had a very interesting and very unstable youth, and his mother was technically insane, although they did not hospitalize her because of her position. And his father was a notorious adulterer, and probably sired over 27 children and these are children out of wedlock, 27 of them, not including his 5 with his wife. So there's just this absolute upheaval in his life, and he felt that the only way that he could express himself was through writing and performing what he wrote. This is unheard of. And who said, dude, you got to get out there and do that? It was Leigh Hunt. They had met each other hanging out, and Byron he was a master at this dramatic self-presentation of all of his works. And so I don't know if anybody has anything to read that's Byron's work. This would be the time to come up and read some of those pieces.
At the library, I got a book, The Complete Poetical Works of Lord Byron. Wow. It's huge. And he wrote lengthy plays, all in verse. And as Ian said, he would self-perform them. And it's just amazing what he was able to accomplish. And I have just got one. Oh, I left it behind on the table. There again, this is a quick one because I can't go into all of the lengthy reading. It's just you have to see it for yourself. But this is called She Walks in Beauty, and there again, it's from Hebrew Melodies, which this whole group that Ian's starting to describe and that we're going to be going into a little bit more. They very much followed, they were researchers in philosophy, and they researched different religions. They were very into like discovering the universe and trying to bring nature and religion and culture and society all together. And so he wrote a collection of poems based on Hebrew writings, and it was subsequently put to music, and there's a whole collection of them, but this one is called She Walks in Beauty. There again, probably the most popular of them. And it says, she walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes. Thus mellowed to that tender light, which heaven to gaudy day denies, one shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace, which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face, when thoughts serenely sweet express, how pure, how dear, their dwelling place. And on that cheek, and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. And there are various descriptions about what inspired him to write this. One of them was a lady in mourning that he watched from a distance. Others say it was a relative that he admired and wrote about. But he took things and romanticized them, but he looked at everyday life and put that spin on everything to uplift it and to see the beauty in everything, whether it was nature, whether it was, fellow human beings, whether it was a cultural thing that was coming together during their lifetime. But it's really, really very interesting. I tell everybody, you got to check it out.
Thank you.
So, in 1812, his first collections were published. Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. And with that threw him into radical politics of Great Britain. And this, of course, embarked on a number of, not only was it radical politics, but radical women, who are always the leaders within radical groups. Surprise, surprise. And he then was quoted as making the statement that I began to have radical sex. Who'd have thought? So in 1815, even though he's going through all of these radical movements, he marries the really brilliant and prim Arabella Milbank. And he said, oh, this is going to last forever. My passion for women's feature now ends. My love of one single woman is forever. And they immediately separated after 13 days. And of course, this affected his public life, because at this particular point in time, not only was he doing these radical things, he was also sitting in the House of Lords, which was a seat that his father had passed on to him. And of course, you couldn't do it discreetly back then. And, it was front page news. And so what he decided to do is respond to the criticism. And he wrote a number of scandalous articles. And one is Fare Thee Well, and A Mad, Bad, and Dangerous to Know. Rob is familiar. And of course, this is very scandalous. Who the hell would respond back to the population? Well, he did. But the key, and Martha brought this up earlier, is that what this group of men and women were doing was bringing all of the beauty of the past and modernizing it, and making, showing other people that they can know all of this knowledge as well. Not just the modern world, and remember, we're considering the modern world as in, the 1750s modern world. But we can understand. We can have these great Greek philosophers and these great Roman philosophers and these great Eastern European philosophers, and we can have them in our lives on a daily basis. And not only was it through translation of their materials, but was also these men and women writing and reworking these philosophies into what they were putting on the page. And that's the great thing about the British Romantics. And by the way, because of them, they have given us all of the things that we have dealt with in American Romanticism, in American critical culture, and today. It was all on the effects and all on the backs of these men and women who wrote at this period of time. And you know, and he's now writing at the early start of the Victorian age, where women were dressed from head to toe, and the streets were violent. But what he wanted to show is that there not only is there greatness and evil, and that's what it was. There's good and evil, but not only is there greatness and evil, but there's also bad and good. And that superstructure is what gave these men and women a commonality, because they all agreed that in evil there's good, and that in good there's evil. And so we're going to move on to the next person, and yes, Shelley.
Tijan, Tijan, this dream's where you belong.